Hello and welcome to this Sexual Harassment Awareness Training course. This has been specifically created to elevate the awareness of this important subject for managers and supervisors. Being a team member in any working organisation means you must take responsibility for the well-being and safety of your colleagues as well as yourself. Recognising and preventing sexual harassment is just one crucial part of doing that effectively. So let's start by looking at the principles behind this damaging and destructive behaviour. The term sexual harassment is used to describe sexual discrimination in the workplace. It's generally applied to inappropriate behaviour that involves unwelcome sexual advances or non-consensual activities and discussions about sexual acts. It's recognised as a form of sexual violence, even if no physical contact is made. The presence of sexual harassment in a workplace can have a devastating and long-lasting effect on an organisation. If managers and workers condone or participate in cases of harassment in operations, they run the risk of exposing their companies to lengthy court proceedings, significant compensation claims, and negative publicity. This will inevitably lead to reputational damage, low recruitment levels, and a high turnover in staff. Most cases of sexual harassment tend to arise from an individual's need to show dominance over someone rather than being based on emotional issues. It's therefore often linked with seniority and the misuse of power in a hierarchy. It should be remembered that sexual harassment can affect and be instigated by all genders. However, it is female workers being harassed by male workers that are most often reported or encountered. The close working environments of offices and business sites lend themselves to more employee interaction, which is one reason why it tends to be encountered in these types of surroundings. Typically, the harasser will be in a position of power over the victim in some way, so the behaviour could occur between individuals such as a team leader and a team member, an employer and their agent, a supervisor and a junior staff member, a recruiter and a candidate, a client and a contractor. The common factor is that there will be a marked difference in importance or influence. This is why it's so important that employers and their employees understand the principles of sexual harassment and the damage it can cause to people and businesses. Efforts to avoid and prevent this type of behaviour are important for every workplace. Senior figures should show zero tolerance towards reported cases, with a clear message that it will result in disciplinary repercussions. Sexual harassment will be experienced by professional men and women mainly because their gender or sexual preferences make them a minority in their workplace. Although working industries now have policies for equality, historically harassment was directed at women working in predominantly male-oriented environments. So this led to some colleagues developing biased thoughts purely based on gender, such as, "She's not qualified to do this type of work," "She distracts the workforce," "She's taking the place of a man who needs this job to support his family." Thankfully, that type of attitude is recognised as misogynistic and outdated now, but vestiges of it still remain in many workplaces due to resistance to change. Despite laws for equality, there remain senior roles in many industries dominated by males, meaning that the ratio of men to women can still be susceptible to gender-based bias, even if it's unintended. Senior figures in an organisation must investigate alleged incidents of sexual harassment and take each case seriously. They should also ensure that their actions do not contribute to a case. If the employee of a company accuses a senior figure of harassment, it could cause the whole company to face automatic liability for the incident, hold the individual liable if the victim decides to sue the company, ruin the company on a financial and reputational level even if they were not personally aware of the incident. In an ethical and legal sense, Management must prevent sexual harassment as quickly as possible, and all workers should condemn it. A proven failure to do this will mean that they could be held accountable for the offence in some way. If harassment is officially reported to a senior figure, it also means that the company is lawfully aware of the issue. Now, once reported, a manager or supervisor must stop the harassment, or at the very least, bring it to the attention of someone who can.
Whilst the moral and social problems caused by sexual harassment are of the utmost importance, in business terms, it will also impact a company in the strongest possible ways. This could manifest as disruption to work schedules and working relationships, valuable work contributions from key personnel, frustration and negativity from large sections of the workforce, demoralisation of staff if the issue is not handled effectively, increased rate of absences and resignations for as long as the issue remains.
When the working reputation of a company becomes linked to continued cases of sexual harassment, it risks becoming a pariah in the sector it operates. This has the obvious effect of making it a less attractive or viable organisation to work for. The number of younger recruits will decrease quickly during employment drives, and they will be more likely to apply for roles with competitors who are viewed as being more progressive in attitude.
Aside from the business impact that sexual harassment can have on a workforce, it can also have financial implications. A victim of harassment has the right to claim economic compensation for any significant impact it has caused on their lives. This would include non-monetary losses where they experience emotional distress or mental health problems, potential monetary losses where they were unable to work or had to undergo significant medical treatment, past monetary losses where they may have had to pay treatment bills or were not paid by their employer due to absence, resignation, or unfair dismissal.
Needless to say, a failure to identify or eradicate sexual harassment in the workplace reflects badly on all members of staff that are involved in an incident. This can be seen as even more serious and unethical if there appears to be some form of collaboration or a conscious attempt to hide the details from management, colleagues, or anyone involved in an investigation.
In summary, we can see the enormous impact that unchallenged sexual harassment in the workplace can have. It will not only affect the victim, but also have a ripple effect that could have long-lasting and far-reaching implications. As we've seen, this could include loss of credibility for management of the company, monetary compensation being claimed through court processes, increased absences and turnover in the workforce, lowered recruitment rates and potential sponsorship loss, poor working relationships and less vendor support.
That completes this first lesson where we've explored the principles of sexual harassment in the workplace and the repercussions it can have if it's condoned or left unchallenged by staff members. Stay with us for the rest of the course and the next lesson where we look at the types of harassment that can occur in working environments. See you soon.